A lovely afternoon, almost evening. It's boys soccer night in Bloomington. A familiar opponent to Bloomington Stadium, the Chaska Hawks. We saw them against Kennedy recently. Now they're taking on Jefferson. This is the boys' game. We'll have the girls' game to follow us if you're watching live at about 7:15 p.m. Hello again, everybody. Josh Powers alongside our crew and alongside Alex Redding tonight. Alex, another. I know you were here yesterday for Chanhassen, but my gracious, there's not a cloud in the sky, and then we've just lucked out on the weather once again.
We most certainly did, Josh, and you can't ask for a better night, as you said. And by the way, I'm going to interrupt that thought as we are ready for the starting lineups. Let's throw it down to the house announcer here at Bloomington Stadium.
Ethan Ducklow. Midfielder, senior captain, number 8, Josh Walkerfuss. Forward, senior number 10, David Garcia. Midfielder, senior number 12, Yair Meza. Forward, senior number 16, Alan Avila. Defender, sophomore, number 18, Hugo Perez. Forward, junior, number 21, Fabrizio Arenas. And defender, junior, number 22, Cameron Walls. Head coach, head coach for the Hawks is Michael O'Reilly. And now the starting lineup for the Jefferson Jaguars. At goalkeeper, senior, number 1, Cormac Merrill. Midfielder, freshman, number 4, Dylan Gedderts. Midfielder, freshman, number 6, Joseph Nyagaka. Midfielder, senior, number 7, Zachary Rideoff. Defender, junior, number 8, Joshua Anderson. Midfielder, junior, number 11, Aiden Atkins. Midfielder, senior, number 13, Leif Kaiser. Defender, senior, number 15, Nicholas Fox. Defender, senior, number 17, Jacob Heyer. Midfielder, senior, number 18, Will Grant. And senior forward, number 23, Brendan Nakum. Head coach for the Jaguars is Danny Storlin. The officials for today's game are Zachariah Ali, Chris Jessen, and Joe Cook. Just a few reminders before we begin. This game is being played according to the rules of the Minnesota State High School League. These rules provide for fair competition and good sportsmanship among the players. Spectators can help promote good sportsmanship during and following the game by observing the fundamentals of good sportsmanship as printed in your game program. Everyone is requested to take personal responsibility for keeping this game at a high level of good sportsmanship. Spectators who engage in conduct dangerous to themselves or others, or who interfere with the rights of others to view this game, will be directed to leave. If this occurs, the admission fee will not be refunded. A reminder that the Bloomington schools and its athletic facilities are tobacco-free. We ask your cooperation in refraining from tobacco use in and around the stadium today. Finally, please be mindful of and follow proper physical distancing protocols as you watch the game and move around the stadium during and after the contest. Spectators are expected to sit 6 feet apart unless sitting as a family. We ask that all spectators wear masks while entering and exiting the facility and when a 6-foot distance is not possible. Please do your part in keeping everyone healthy and safe and help our teams to keep playing the entire season. Your cooperation in these matters will be very much appreciated. At this time, we ask that you please stand and join us for the national anthem.
right, we're ready to go here from Bloomington Stadium. Jefferson and Chaska for the second time this year. These teams met back on August 29th, and Chaska won that game 4-2. And Alex, it's a Chaska team having one of the best seasons in the state of Minnesota. They're so experienced. They're averaging more than 3 goals per game, and they're on top of the Metro West.
That's exactly right, Josh. And, you know, their top 2 scorers, Ethan Ducklow and David Garcia, both combined have, if you can believe it, 8 for Ducklow and then Garcia. You do the math, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, Ducklow with 3 assists on the year. They are definitely Chaska's offense, to say the least. They are definitely putting the team on their back, as they say. Jefferson has yet to get a win this year. They're definitely very hungry, but, you know, it's been very, very tough. They've dropped a lot of games and will have had the unpleasant, well, I guess you could say experience of not scoring any, but Jefferson looking to change that here tonight.
Yeah, the Jaguars coming in at 0-6. Their most recent game on Saturday against Benilde, losing that one 3-1. A Benilde team with only 1 loss this year as well. Chaska 5-1. Their only defeat was against Benilde 3-2. We saw them last Thursday defeat Kennedy 3-0 right here at Bloomington Stadium. Or excuse me, that was last Tuesday. So Chaska has not played in a week since that game, which is unusual in this compressed season, as these teams on game number 7 of 11 in this condensed season. Chaska in the road white, Jefferson in the home Columbia blue. And you mentioned Ducklow and Garcia. Ducklow number 7, Garcia number 10. Those are the 2 strikers up front. And then number 8, Josh Wackerfoos, really controls things in the midfield area for the Chaska Hawks.
Got a couple of assists on the year as well. Wackerfoot, definitely a very wacky name, I must say. But, of course, his play ain't wacky, I'll tell you that. As you mentioned, very dominant in the midfield area.
Of course, Jefferson's offense has struggled to score this year. Just 3 goals on the season for Jefferson through 6 games. Their strength certainly is on the back line on the D.
Right, and we saw that against the Chanhassen Storm weeks back, if you remember, ladies and gentlemen, on the premiere of soccer coverage on BEC-TV. Give them credit, though. The Jefferson defense held Chanhassen to 1 goal, and that came in the second half. So Jefferson sticks with it defensively for a little while, but then it's their offense that really needs to get them some breaks. How about that save?
Ducklow with the shot, his first shot, and then it looked like that might squeeze out of the reach of Cormac Merrill, and he just extended that right arm a little bit and made sure of the save. First of the game for Merrill. Kind of like that hockey goal. You want to get one out of the way, and that was not an easy one by any means. I mentioned Jefferson's only scored 3 goals this year. Aiden Adkins and Joseph Naigaka getting those goals done, as that one out of play. Temperatures in the upper 70s today, and a little bit of wind coming from north to south, so that's right to left as you look at your screen, but not much of a factor. I'd say these winds at most 5 to 10 miles an hour. Chaska, once again, we saw them dominate possession time against Kennedy. Getters calmly sends it away from the penalty area. Back toward Garcia. Number 10 in white at the edge of the 18. Slides a little bit further. Cross by Arenas into the box, intended for Ducklow. Cleared but not out.
Chaska loves to stack the box, as we saw on that last drive, Josh. That's where they get a lot of those goals, a lot of cherry picking down low. And Jefferson's defense will be, of course, put to the test tonight.
Here's a ball through. Garcia puts it in the back of the net. A mistake in the 18 for the Jaguars. And you can't let the ball find the leading scorer for the Hawks, David Garcia, now into double digits in goals this year with 10. And this is only game number 7 for Chaska. What a season he has had. But that's one, Alex, most players are going to score from that spot right there.
Well, especially the lack of defensive presence by the Jefferson Jaguars in that area. And also you got to credit the hustle by the Chaska Hawks, too, not allowing Jefferson, well, I guess you could say in hockey terms, to get on the back check.
Garcia had a hat trick in the earlier game against Jefferson, so now that's 4 of his goals this year against the Jaguars. Jefferson trying to make something happen there with Joseph Naigaka, number 6, one of their better offensive players up front for the Jaguars. Also, Brendan Akum, number 23, a forward for the Jaguars. And also Leaf Kaiser, senior. Naigaka, just a freshman, very promising future for Jefferson. Here's Whacker Fuss, really controls the midfield area for Chaska.
Chaska, nice patience here. They want to play the long game. They want to stretch Jefferson out across that midfield because they know that they're going to wear their energy down to almost nil, and then they can really take it to them.
Ducklow, nice little flick. Whacker Fuss through the box. Garcia again! That one rolling just wide. Almost 2 goals in the first 6 minutes for David Garcia.
Garcia, a very, very smart look on that route into the box. He wants to attack that slot, as we could see her on the replay, just splits the D. Not quite able to sneak it past that time as the ball goes wide of the net, and Cormac Merrill in front the Jefferson goaltender. But I'll tell you, Jefferson has to make an adjustment defensively in that slot if they're going to stay alive in this game.
Ducklow again, nice touch. Plays it across. This is Mesa, but he's not going to get a chance to play it as Cormac Merrill, the senior goalkeeper for the Jaguars, comes out to play that one as we're just over 5 minutes in. Already the Hawks with an early lead. And no shots on goal yet for the Jaguars. Aiden Adkins had it taken away. Garcia plays it back. This is Alcindor who'll swing it around to the far side of the field for Cameron Wally. Akum trying to gain control for Jefferson, but not able to. Chip toward the box. That ball a little too far. He was looking for Alana Vila, senior number 16. We talk about a lot of seniors for this Chaska team. In fact, all but 6 on the roster are seniors for the Hawks, including Ducklow, Whacker Fuss, and Garcia. That trio so potent for the Chaska Hawks this year. Their head coach, Michael O'Reilly, of course, on the other side, longtime head coach for Jefferson, Danny Storleen.
Hey, he's been around the program so long, you can almost carbon date him at this point. And that ball going out of play. I like Chaska's strategy here early on, Josh. It seems that they're trying to draw Jefferson out into the midfield where Jefferson knows they might be put at a disadvantage. That leaves the box area more open so Chaska could sneak a few bodies into that box and have some great chances from short range to try and get it in. And that's how the first goal of the game happened, with David Garcia scoring it for the Chaska Hawks. I got to tell you, Chaska knows definitely what they're doing, and they do it very well.
Garcia again. Ducklow chips it this side. Long run for Mesa. He'll get there first, working against Rythoff. Into the box, Mesa. Too tall. Intended once again for Avila.
Good job by Fox and Hayer in the box for Jefferson, getting the one-on-one coverage they needed. I know that was set up to be put in as a set play potentially, or a header towards the net in the box, but Chaska not able to do it again because of that coverage by Fox and Hayer.
A lot of seniors also on this Jefferson team as well. You've got some young freshmen like we mentioned Naigaka, and also Dylan Getters getting the start today, just a freshman. Here's a dangerous ball again. Garcia, quick touch, left foot. Ooh. Save made by Merrill.
I think that may have been off of Hayer, to be honest with you, in front.
We'll take a look at it. Merrill has it now as they survive another challenge. Actually going to be a foul before that one gets on to Merrill, but they survive another challenge from Chaska, and David Garcia already his 3rd shot attempt in the first 10 minutes. No, it was Merrill kicking out that left foot.
Tough to tell, especially where we are high atop Bloomington Stadium. I know there were a couple of balls that were kicked in towards the net. This is the Kennedy and Chanhassen game last night that I thought were goals, but they had actually gotten on top of the net. The way that they were kicked made it look deceptive to me, as if they were goals, but they were not, in fact.
There figures to be opportunities for Jefferson scoring as Akum sends one into the box. This is the Chaska team. We saw them against Kennedy on last Tuesday, and that was their first shutout of the year in that 3-0 win. So it's a team that's going to take some chances, but they're going to give up some things on the back end. And of course, Jefferson put up 2 in that season opening loss to the Hawks. Alcindor long distance shot. Another diving save by Merrill. That one probably would have gone wide, but it looked pretty darn cool for the senior goalkeeper.
Well, it looked cool to me. As we get another look here on the replay, Cormac Merrill making it look routine. And we're going to have another angle here. High atop Bloomington Stadium as Cormac Merrill's able to grab that one, having to get out onto the deck for it.
Hugo Perez.
Cormac Merrill has got some really, really great hand-eye coordination, and of course it's no wonder why he's the starting goaltender, but he's definitely had a good season when he's had to be in a position to make saves and has made them.
Alcindor wins a Chaska throw. 10 minutes into this first half, just a gorgeous fall Tuesday here at Bloomington Stadium. Our expanded coverage of soccer will continue to cover it. Of course, it was announced yesterday that football will be coming back in just a few weeks, October 9th and 10th. So you'll want to check our website. We don't know the schedule yet or our coverage yet, but we will plan on covering the return of football. Your time perfectly, because the regular season for soccer ends on Tuesday, October 6th or Thursday, October 8th for these teams. So in any event, that season will start for football immediately after the regular season concludes for soccer. It'll be a 6-game football regular season if you missed that announcement yesterday. Whacker Fuss. Good ball into space. Avila unable to play it any further there as that misses well wide. So again, we'll keep you up to date on our website. Once we know the schedule, our plans. Exciting announcement yesterday by the Minnesota State High School League. Football and volleyball, don't want to leave that out. Volleyball also coming back in the fall. Aiden Adkins for Jefferson. Go ahead, Alex.
Yes, sir. Well, it's definitely going to be very interesting now that the football season has been moved. Ooh, that one was a potential chance for Jefferson, but then cleared out by the Chaska D. But anyways, as I was going to say, Josh, it's going to be very interesting seeing football being played in the snow. Well, for the high school level, that is.
Let's hope it's not, but you're right. There's a good likelihood it will be at some point. Not a certainty, but the odds are in your favor, I would imagine. And of course, we've seen that before, but usually not until we get toward playoff time. We saw that last chance by Akum in the box in Jefferson. Those are the type of situations that I was referencing earlier, Alex. Chaska's a team that really likes to push that offense and send a bunch of players up there, and if Jefferson can counterattack in this game, there's going to be space in that penalty, in that 18 area at times for them to maneuver. The challenge against this Chaska team is just that transition, getting it past all those midfielders and into your attacking end.
Especially if you don't have enough bodies that can help out in that midfield area. And, this is why Chaska is so dominant this year, because they are able to send great balls from the midfield and towards the box. It throws defenses on their back foot. As we've already seen tonight, Jefferson at times has had to put an extra body back there, and that pretty much kills any chance of trying to shift momentum towards the other side of the pitch. I mean, it's a simple strategy, but it's one that works very well, and especially if you have a lot of tall, fast, athletic upperclassmen, as Chaska has. That's a walk in the park almost.
That was a good run, that last play there by Joshua Anderson, number 8, a junior. And that cross a little bit too strong. As it's played back to the goaltender for Chaska, Carson Youngman. He is one of their captains, another senior.
Has 26 saves on the year total, does Carson Youngman.
Twisting ball too far for Adkins. Here's Alcindor. Trying to get it to Garcia in space. Nice touch to Wackerfuss. Wackerfuss again, ball toward the corner, nicely done. Here's the cross, and it'll be wide of the mark as Arenas not able to curl that one in there.
Well, he hit it off the crossbar of the football goalpost.
We'll see those in use in about 3 weeks. Very exciting.
I know, I can't wait. And I'm sure all of the football athletes around the state can't wait as well, especially for the ones that have D1 scholarships on the line, I would imagine.
Well, and you also think, you know, a lot of the seniors have that kind of thing wrapped up by the time their season hits, but for those juniors, sophomores that are trying to put together film for potential college coaches at whatever level you're looking at, it's just so important to get some games in the fall, and Minnesota is going to be able to do that, joining many of the states now in the Midwest, really with the exception of Illinois that are going to be playing now. Here's a chance. Kaiser, good patience there as he sends it back.
Good footwork as well by Kaiser.
Reethoff, this is what Jefferson needs to do, possess a little bit more.
And even if you get a defensive clear here by Chanhassen, it's better to force a clear in the attacking zone than to give up a transition like they just did now.
Here's Meza, ball through for Garcia. Excellent intervention. Nicholas Fox, the senior. That was well timed. And wins a Jaguar throw as well.
Very
and
risky,
he'll get it done quickly.
Very risky defensive move by Fox, but it pays off. And, you know, this is one of the things that you're going to have to do against Chaska is you're going to have to take those big risks in order to take them down, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, that was going to be the second Garcia goal had Fox missed on that challenge. Here's a Jaguar throw, and the freshman Naigaka to take it. That's where they like to try to get it to Brendan Akum. It's got that larger frame, really can work well in tight spaces here for Jefferson. That one glances off of Akum.
And, you know, speaking of that larger frame, I wouldn't be surprised if Jefferson tried to move him inside the box, maybe on a corner kick if it comes of it.
Absolutely.
Or even another toss-in the offensive zone, because I think that's going to be key for Jefferson if they want to try and get some of those headers or even some quick kicks on that net, which they need right now,
and
of course.
that's one thing in the past Jaguar teams, we've seen success from them through the years, going to section and state tournaments when they can get those taller players and really execute on those set pieces. Coach Storlene knows how to get those done. Schindler, nice move to get around Adkins. Here's Garcia back for Schindler. Schindler cross, perfectly placed, and the header over the top by Andino. He's going to want that one back.
I got to tell you, that was a great play that was set up by Chaska. Although it didn't work out, you got to like the awareness of where each Chaska Hawk player is on that soccer pitch as we get another look. And speaking more towards each player knowing where all their other teammates are, I mean, that's half the battle in my view right now, is knowing where each of your guys are so you are able to make nice little handoffs to get around defensive coverages. And that's what we saw there on that last Chaska play.
You could have not placed it on a tee any better for Andino. Who's not going to get a better look than that in this game. But Chaska foul.
Well, we saw a header last night, if you remember, folks, if you were with us for the girls' edition of Soccer Night in Bloomington as the Kennedy Eagles played the Chanhassen Storm. It was Colleen Westerhouse who put in a header off of a great corner kick.
Speaking of a header, Akum to Adkins, and it's flicked in by the Jaguars, but it's not going to count. Offsides. My goodness. Or will it count? And fans are applauding, but I think they waived this one, or did they?
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if it posts on the scoreboard. Yeah, because that definitely was a close call. We'll get another look here on the replay.
They're placing this ball. This looks like it. They still haven't put it up on the board yet, but that certainly looked like a.
Jefferson goal.
And it was a goal.
Is a goal. So Joshua Anderson from Adkins should get the assist there for the Jaguars, but it was set up by that perfectly placed back header by Brennan Akum.
Right on cue, Josh, I got to tell you. And by the way, it's our second slot goal of the game.
So now all of a sudden we have a 1-1 tie. So the Jaguars with their 4th goal of the season and the first of the year for Joshua Anderson. Might be his first ever goal. He's only a junior. It kind of looked like Chaska had stopped playing there. That's why I thought that goal didn't count. Plus the official was signaling something, but it did count for the Jaguars as we have a Chaska corner. This one a little too far, but it might go to a corner the other side.
That's why it's so important to finish. Even if you think things are all but lost.
And Jefferson didn't really celebrate like maybe you normally would with that goal either.
They were kind of like, wait, we scored? What?
It did count as we have almost reached the midway point of this first half. Chaska's dominated the game, but Jefferson with that counterattack goal just a couple minutes ago. That's where the Hawks, they can be a little bit.
Jesus Siriaco Mundo put it in, the only goal of the game.
He has had an outstanding season for Kennedy.
Right, and so has Diego Fuentes Rodriguez as well. He had some looks in that game too.
Jefferson knows that. They give up a hat trick to Mr. Rodriguez earlier. They'll have a chance for revenge, though, coming up pretty quickly here on October 6th. We'll have that one for you on BEC-TV. Aiden Adkins for the Jaguars. Factored into that goal a couple minutes back. This one too far.
Yeah, but Jefferson right now is starting to get some more time in the attacking zone. Little by little, they just have to keep building the momentum towards their favorable side of the pitch, that being the attacking zone, of course. And, you know, we kind of saw Jefferson play optimistically at the beginning of the game. Of course, the defense was lacking on that first goal of the game, scored by David Garcia, who already has double digits after that on the season. Speaking of, yes, he's right there getting a pass off.
Andino corner. Nice defense by Naigaka. Did not fall for the fake.
Right, and going back to that first goal, as you mentioned, Josh, Jefferson will give up some, but in order to gain one, definitely feels like it's worth it here, as the game is now tied. And big header by Akum.
Jaguar throws. We're in the back half of this first half. Girls game to follow us at about 7:15.
Oh, and that terrific defense.
They were outstanding last week.
Got a round of applause from everybody in the house. Even the Benilde fans were standing and cheering for him.
It'll be a tough challenge against the Chaska girls. They are equally as dangerous as the boys team. We'll talk more about that later. We've got Wackerfuss in his element at midfield. Andino, ball up ahead. Cut off by the Jaguars, trying to win a corner unsuccessfully. One of the Chaska players there wearing number 23 is not listed on our roster. Try to figure out who that is.
That one player. Although maybe it's a change of jerseys, who knows?
It could be, but I don't recognize him from the game last week. We'll try to get that information at halftime for you. Apologies there. Also not listed on the, I've got two rosters and not listed on either one.
Oh dear.
Here's Will Grant, a header attempt. He's another guy that Jefferson likes to use in those set pieces up front if Jefferson can get him. So far they have not been able to have a corner kick in this game. A foul on the Jaguars, so here's a scoring chance, certainly in this position of the field for the Hawks.
Well, time for the mini wall here on the free kick.
Backing up that mini wall right to the edge of the 18 for the free kick from Wacker Foos. Ball toward the back post. Akum was there to head it to the top of the 18. Bicycle kick. Garcia goes wide.
Nice defensive presence around him for the Jefferson Jaguars. Jefferson's done a really nice job regrouping here later on in this first half. And there is still plenty of time left to go here in the opening half at Bloomington Stadium, but I got to say it was a good turnaround by the Jefferson's back end as we have another look at this.
Well, they made it tough for Garcia. If he's going to score on that, you just give him a COVID elbow and say, great shot. If that's going to go in. And Jefferson played that one pretty well. Chipped out of trouble by Nicholas Fox, but it'll be a Chaska throw as we're under 15 minutes remaining in this first half. Chaska scoring in the 3rd minute. It looked like it might be a Hawk runaway, but the Jaguars have countered with a goal by Joshua Anderson, and we're level at 1.
Hasn't just been the offensive response, it's been the defensive one too.
A touch too far, taken away by Adkins.
Adkins has really, really nice footwork. Also a starter on the varsity basketball roster for the Jaguars.
Schindler, ball across into the box. And nicely done there, Merrill. But he got a little bit of a screen from Jacob Heyer.
That's good awareness by Heyer, giving Cormac Merrill just a second to collect himself to make a very wise decision. Well-executed play defensively by the Jaguars defensively.
They'd give you a pick play pass interference flag on the football field for that one from Heyer, but that was well within the rules here. Swung across. It's Perez toward the box. Jefferson settles it down. Chance to counter. Adkins, long ball, looking for Akum. And it's touched nicely back toward the goaltender by Kyler Camus, number 6, another one of those Chaska seniors.
Chaska's done a really nice job recovering defensively. And it's their ability to recover on the back end that it has been one of the key factors in their success that they have done so well at this year.
Alcindor out of the reach of Garcia, retains possession. Schindler, bad pass. Kaiser couldn't quite get it past that first line of Hawk players. Adkins got another touch, and now a throw.
Big thing for Jefferson right now is to get a throw in towards the offensive zone and headed in by Akum. But Jefferson has not allowed a goal since the first one scored by Garcia. That's important for Jefferson right now.
Nice steal here. Adkins with some space, has Anderson to his left. Adkins slides it for Akum. Akum cross. Looked like he wanted to maybe chip goalkeeper Youngman, but it sailed out of play.
Even if it was chipped, I think that would have been a relatively easy play in front for the Chaska goaltender, Carson Youngman. And again, you can really see on that last possession a nice breakaway by Adkins getting some space, but then also you could see he tried to get it to Akum and trying to work it inside of that box. That's where Akum needs to live offensively for Jefferson if they're going to try and take the lead.
It was set up by that midfield takeaway by Adkins, and Jefferson can do that a few more times in this game. We mentioned there's going to be room back there to operate on a counter.
Also, I think you'd probably want to move Will Grant, number 18, into the box as well. Another one of those tall bodies for Jefferson, too.
Yeah, their heights are not listed. I'm thinking Grant's probably in that 6'3", 6'4" range as it's scooped up by Merrill. Arenas. Haven't been a lot of fouls in this game. They'll play on there. It's an interesting ball choice, too, Alex. That is not the whitest of soccer balls by any means. I don't know what I'm sure it's the right size and everything, but definitely not new off the shelf. Touch back. Elsendor winds up and delivers it wide.
Cormac Merrill, great effort on that play, although very lucky it went wide of the net because if that was put more towards the center of the net, I don't think he was getting that one.
Yeah, there was room in that top corner. It had to be a very good shot, but there was room. Jefferson giving Elsendor a little bit too much breathing room. The top of that box, or just outside of it, I should say.
Jefferson right now, as you can already tell, has been in that offensive mindset for a while. It's not that they haven't been bad defensively or haven't been defensively minded throughout the game. No, they have when they've needed to. It's that Jefferson knows they need to play offensively optimistic in this game if they have any chance against the top bird in the Metro West.
Foul Chaska here.
So yet another offensive chance for Jefferson here on the free kick, ensuing the foul.
Here's Fox. He'll try to send one toward the box. He's got Grant down there. And it went off the front of his head, not the back. And I think he was offside anyway.
Good look by Jefferson's offense, trying to get it to Will Grant in that box, again using one of the bigger frames. And yeah, Jefferson's also tried to use, I believe, a Coombe in that box too. Which seems to me, Josh, like it's the right play.
You want to take advantage of that height. Jefferson's got some players down there with height advantages, and that can certainly come into play. Ball toward a Coombe. Edge of the box. Left-footed attempt. Twists wide. And again, Jefferson finding some room down there to operate.
Well, this is the break that Jefferson needs. Jefferson right now playing a little bit more on their front foot now.
Wackerfuss missing that one badly. Jefferson trying to catch Chaska off guard here. Akum. Equally poor touch. Chaska gets it right back. Garcia. It's taken away by Grant. Grant long run up the left side.
Great edge pressure by the Jaguars, by the way, at the midfield area. And towards that far touchline, another interesting strategy by the Jags. Of course, edge pressure, definitely one of the quickest ways to turn around momentum.
Garcia, nice move. Garcia, strike! And it'll twist wide. It's been a quiet about 30 minutes for Garcia since he had 3 shots on goal very early.
Well, it's because Chaska's had to play more back than up front because Jefferson's adjusted very nicely. And Jefferson typically this season has turned it on offensively later on in the first half. That's when the offense seems to turn on.
Garcia somehow able to keep that alive on the sideline. Here's Arenas. Arenas, fancy flick back, but intercepted though, taken away by Grant. On the run, Perez, and his ball will be caught by Merrill.
And again, good job by Jefferson not allowing Chaska a short-range shot from inside the box. And I got to tell you, boy, that has really, really helped change the momentum of this game. And Jefferson now in the attacking zone.
Jonathan Hernandez off the Jaguar bench, number 10. Another senior.
Akum has showed a lot of hustle for Jefferson as of recently, especially that last play. I know that Jefferson didn't have a chance there offensively. Even though they got it into the zone, you could definitely sense Jefferson's intention.
Schindler on a long ball from Garcia. Trying to get around Adkins. Helping his getters. And a good defensive combo. Turns back Schindler.
That's great backup play by Getters.
Or correction, that was not Getters. My apologies, Zach. Reethoff, number 7. But still, very nice backup, as you mentioned, Alex.
Now, those are the things that you hear 1,000 times in practice, and come game time, everyone's itching to do their part, and maybe even a little bit more than that. It's so hard to get those nerves calmed down, especially with getting chances, and even helping out your teammates, because you want to put yourself in a position where you're able to cover somebody and not leave anyone open. But again, good awareness by Jefferson's number 7, Zachary Reithoff.
This was a handball on Will Grant just outside the 18. And of course it'll be Garcia. This definitely has a chance to bend around that wall if he can get it done. Garcia, low attempt, and Merrill does not make a mistake with that hard ground ball.
Well, you can definitely tell that Garcia's frustrated a little bit because he's missed the last few kicks that he's made towards the net. Credit Jefferson's defense. They've put the pressure on nicely. But then also you have to factor in, too, that Chaska's been running around in their own defensive zone.
Hernandez, nice ball across. Adkins. Could be a Chaska foul there. Goes uncalled against Max Eriksrud. Stolen back. Getters shot. Didn't get all of it. Freshman Dylan Getters.
And Jefferson continuing to do the little things offensively, keeping the ball in the attacking zone, putting the pressure on. Jefferson is
off target. Schindler. Taken away by Adkins. Another steal by Aiden Adkins, although that touch goes wide.
And Jefferson knows that the added offensive pressure is going to pay off in the end. And credit their style from the get-go. It didn't look very good from the beginning, of course, letting out that Chaska goal out of the bag, but they've done a really nice job of turning things around. Then, of course, the goal scored by Joshua Anderson in the box down low, and just playing optimistic and wearing down Chaska. And by the way, Benilde, if there's any team that knows how to beat Chaska this year, it's them.
Well, they're the only ones that have done it. So you would figure that would be true. Akum trying to win a free kick, and appears he will. So now late in this half, for the Jaguars, a set piece. They're going to run up Jacob Heyer, another taller Jaguar, back from the defense. It'll be Getters, the freshman, to take this one.
Jefferson preparing for this ball, taking an unfavorable bounce towards the midfield stripe.
Getters ball toward Akum, but it was just over his head. That was the right idea there by Getters. That was not off by much.
Good strategy to leave Fox also towards the midfield stripe to try and head it in moments ago, but Chaska able to turn it around nicely.
And they're countering. Can Jefferson get back? A couple dangerous touches for Arenas in the box, trying to draw a foul, could not. Ducklow now, as Jefferson does get back. That looked dangerous for a moment. We have not mentioned Ethan Ducklow very much in this game. Chip toward Ducklow. Adkins perfectly timed. And then the Arenas kick sails over the bar. Watch Adkins at the last minute. That looked like Ducklow was going to get there.
It's like how you would post up defensively in basketball, too. It stays upright.
Just beautifully done by the junior Aiden Adkins.
It's the basketball gene showing on that last play, Josh. I got to say, very, very great balance by Adkins.
You would have hated to give up one this late in the half, and Jefferson dodges that bullet. There's still a little bit of time left. Here's a ball for Anderson. Anderson touch, trying to get around Eriksrud. Jaguar throw, they'll hustle up here with half a minute. Adkins, let's see how far he can launch this throw. Here's a Coombe. Adkins, cross, and it went off the side of his foot. Out of play, and that'll pretty much, well, they're going to, no, they're not going to stop the clock. I heard a couple of whistles. And that's going to do it here for this first half. It would have been, they were going to say that would have been a Jaguar corner. That's why it was so off target. It glanced off of a Chaska foot, but the Jaguars not enough time to get that corner done. After a pretty, have to say it, Alex, disastrous first 7 or 8 minutes for Jefferson. The rest of the half went brilliantly. They get the Anderson goal, and they're level with the top team in the Metro West.
Most certainly, and you know, it's the optimistic mindset that they came out into the game playing with that has ultimately gotten the result that they have here now at intermission. And you know, one thing I will have to say is, you know, I mean, like you said, I mean, it looked a little bit iffy, kind of paraphrasing there early on with the goal by Garcia to open up the game for Chaska, but you know what, great offensive response by Jefferson, and again, it was from that box area. And Jefferson had a really good strategy offensively, trying to get the big bodies in the box, and with some of that backup offense down there really did help out, and they look to continue that here going into the second half. And, you know, Chaska, I think they're kind of throwing back a little bit by the result, too. I mean, one would imagine, especially how dominant they played through the first half of games this season.
Yeah, Jefferson's surprising here. It's a 1-1 game against the top team in the Metro West. If you're watching us live, second half coming up in just under 10 minutes. If you're watching the tape-delayed version, second half right around this commercial break. All coming up on BEC-TV. Back at Bloomington Stadium, Jefferson looking for their first win of the year. A 1-1 tie against Chaska, the top team in the Metro West. Second half coming up. First, look back at the first half with the first half highlights.
I got to tell you, highlights they were, and well, those were one of the few saves that Cormac Merrill would have to make, but then that would be the only goal scored by the Chaska Hawks. That opened the scoring in the game as the Hawks would take a 1-0 lead on that play.
That was the 10th of the year for David Garcia. This looks like an onslaught, and it was early by Chaska. The first 7 to 10 minutes of this game was just dominated by the Hawks, but then the Jaguars got a little confidence, Alex, and they got some more touches in the Chaska side of the field. As you see that miss by Andino, and there's the Jaguar goal, Joshua Anderson.
And you know, in a season that has been filled with very few Jaguar goals, it definitely is a seasonal highlight for Jefferson, and of course you could understandably imagine they're carrying a lot of energy from the back half of that first half into the start of the second half, and Jefferson hoping that that carries throughout the rest of this match here tonight. But I got to tell you, I mean, as you mentioned, Josh, it looked like an onslaught from early on, as well as the fans could probably agree with us on that here, and of course the viewer, but Jefferson has the advantage right now offensively, and that's something that typically a lot of people have not said about Chaska. Well, this season anyway.
Jaguars moving from north to south here, or excuse me, from south to north the second half.
And Josh a little bit directionally challenged as we begin the second half.
Adkins will win a throw in the corner. Alongside Alex Redding and our crew, Josh Powers with you. Beautiful Tuesday night. Girls game also coming up later tonight, 7:15 approximate start, so stick around for that if you're watching live.
And you don't want to miss the Jefferson defense, folks. They put on a show last Thursday against Beneld.
A Coombe shot, rebound up for grabs, and Getters was over there. He was going against the taller Alcindor, as Youngman able to corral it and fling it ahead. Chaska giveaways have been leading to Jefferson chances in this game. Another one nearly right there to the freshman Naigaka.
I mean, Chaska's kind of been napping, well, at least during the back half of the first half. I mean, part of me figures is that if they were overconfident.
Well, they did get a 4-2 win against Jefferson earlier. They were walked into the stadium last week and won 3-0, so you could understand maybe not having that urgency out of the gate, but they started the game so well, and now Jefferson's really played pretty even with them recently. Great touch here, Anderson just couldn't get that last half step around Camus.
Good pressure by Aiden Adkins as the ball goes out of play.
Jaguar throw here early in this second half. Jefferson has not won yet this year. Chaska's only lost once.
And boy, would it be something if we got the upset here tonight, Josh, at Bloomington Stadium.
That would be fun. It was kind of a mini upset last night. You had that one, Kennedy getting the better of Chanhassen after losing to them earlier in the year.
Very defensive game, but again, that free kick by Jesus Siriaco Mundo was a difference maker as he put it in for the goal.
Ducklow on a counter. Ahead toward Avila. Jefferson getting back now.
Will Grant was the one to try and clear it out and did for Jefferson. Grant's been playing great transitional play here this afternoon/evening for the Jaguars. And again, he's one of the taller bodies for Jefferson that they need him to play very well in the two-way category, especially offensively, where Jefferson has been able to find success putting those taller bodies in the box.
Alcindor, dangerous touch, and sent it a little too high.
Even though he was kind of in space, again, another shot taken by the Chaska Hawks outside of that box, by the way, Josh. That's the difference. Jefferson's been able to force a lot of those lower percentage shots from the Chaska Hawks outside of that penalty box area, and that's helped the defense out substantially well.
Cormac Merrill launches it right at the midfield stripe. Alcindor. Akum.
Good pressure by Brandon Akum.
Just being disruptive. That's what they need to do more, especially at that mid area. Here's some space, though, for Ducklow.
Oh, nice hustle, though.
Challenge from behind by Leaf Kaiser. Ball in the box. Ducklow. Ooh, slipped, and he got a little banged up last Tuesday. See how quick he is to get up. Jefferson foul here on Kaiser. Ducklow twisted that ankle last Tuesday. He spent a few minutes on the bench, came back for the second half, and he gets up fairly quickly this time. Whacker Fuss with the free kick.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take another look at that last replay. You can see there, yeah, slipped on the kick attempt at the top of the box.
There's a ball across, and it goes in for the Chaska lead now. As it was Arenas sending it into the box and redirected home by the Hawks. So the Jaguars playing so nicely here to start the second half, give up that chance, and it might have been the 11th of the season for that man, David Garcia. We'll find out on the replay.
Well, the Chaska Hawk fans want some more cowbell after that last goal celebration as we get a replay of that last Chaska goal.
Nobody marking Arenas. And this one squeezes across, and Garcia just did get that left toe out to flick it home.
That is now his second goal of the game, Garcia.
He seemed to be a little off guard on that caught off guard on that set piece. And unfortunately, it's cost them the lead right now, as it's now 2-1 Chaska.
And again, both Chaska goals, by the way, and also coming from Garcia, have been inside that penalty box.
Anderson committing a Jaguar foul.
And of course, if you're going to give up chances right now, if you're the Jaguars, you have to give them outside that box. You cannot give them, and them being the Chaska Hawks, any opportunities inside the box as we saw in that last goal scored by Garcia. That's what they'll do to you.
Getters chips it ahead, wanted to get Anderson, not far enough. Stolen by Ducklow. Ducklow so nifty in space. Ahead for Arenas. That was nicely cut off by Hernandez. Wally. Arenas not able to get around Hernandez.
Hernandez, nice physicality there towards the near corner. He's got a really low center of gravity, not moved by too many bodies, even the taller ones.
Ducklow, great touch in the 18, but couldn't keep it alive. And Chaska certainly thought that was a corner. Ducklow stunned by the news
he was like,
of
what?
Seeing that flag being pointed toward the Jefferson goal. Hard to tell. It certainly looked like it was off of Ducklow from our view, but he was adamant about it.
And animated. Well, at least the energy is still there for Chaska. It has to be after that last goal scored, giving them back the lead.
Let's go, Jefferson!
Ducklow header, trying to get a Vila, and running up to corral it is Merrill. Nice header by Kaiser. Deep into the Chaska end. It'll just force them to send it over the edge. Oh, and off of Coombs, stays in play. Anderson cross, find Kaiser, Hernandez! Oh, and I think he wanted that one back. As he didn't get a lot on it, I think he didn't realize how open he was as that ball deflected right to his right foot.
Looked to me as if he was trying to see who had him in coverage.
Kaiser for a Coombe.
And that's what happens when you take your eye off the ball. This for a split second.
Long twisting ball by Arenas. Well played by the Jaguar D. That was Adkins. As he and Getters over there battling Ducklow. Ducklow emerging. Sends it to the corner. And cutting that one off was Jacob Heyer. Watch this touch by Hernandez. I think he could have done a little bit more with this one, Alex.
Most certainly.
Right there.
He was trying to worry about getting the ball around Arenas. And we'll get another angle here on the replay. Yeah, Jefferson's not going to get too many of those chances in the remainder of this game, I got to tell you. Unfortunate result for the home team.
Here's a Coombe. Kaiser settles it. Pressured by Wackerfuss. Jefferson throw.
Again, we're starting to see Chaska take back that midfield area again, as they started the game off so well controlling.
Oh, they will say foul there on Wackerfuss, so a Jaguar free kick. And they twist it into the box. Good ball. It's up for grabs for a Coombe. And just in time, Youngman with the save. My gracious. I don't know how you let that bounce over everyone. The saving grace for Chaska was this almost bounced too far as it got all the way toward that post, and that right arm save of Youngman. That was a good touch by a Coombe too in tight quarters.
Sorry to keep cutting you off, Josh, but Brendan Acoom went down hard, and he is shaken up right now, sitting on the pitch in front of the net.
Yeah,
and I was talking about it earlier, Josh. They need to get Brendan Acoom or other taller bodies into that box, and Jefferson right there with a great chance. They weren't able to capitalize. Obviously a good reaction and a physical play by Youngman, the goaltender for Chaska, but that's what Jefferson needs to be doing. And they did it that time. Just even better play by the goaltender, and Acoom still getting more attention. This looks to be serious. Oh.
They have stopped the clock. No stoppage time in the high school game. Acoom looking at that right foot, right ankle, probably.
It's been one of Jefferson's leaders this year, Brendan Acoom. Such a valuable player. We're going to go ahead and take another look at that one real slow here, Josh, on the replay, waiting for our truck to cue this one up. But
watch
this one
that
just happened.
Right foot.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of looked like it came down, a little off on it on that landing.
I believe he rolled it just a touch. As we get another look here on the replay. Yeah, and some pretty good looks from our skeleton crew out there tonight.
Yeah, doing a nice job. We don't have the same number of crew that we normally have due to COVID. We're in separate booths here, our socially distanced press box. Sets up nicely for us.
Get a little extra space to spread out our notes and other things too.
Higher. Too far for Getters. Kaiser is there. Acoom still walking pretty gingerly on that ankle. I would be surprised if he were able to return here in this last half hour.
You definitely don't want to make the injury worse.
Here's Anderson. See if he can try to win a corner. It'll be a throw as they inch their way down in Chaska's end. Do the Jaguars trailing 2-1. It was 1-1 at half, but David Garcia has scored again for Chaska. He now has 5 goals in 2 games this year against Jefferson. That one off the side of the post. Just not quite enough angle on that Anderson cross.
Brendan Acoom on that sideline is having his right ankle looked at.
They've moved up Jonathan Hernandez from a midfielder to a forward now for Acoom.
This definitely makes the strategy very interesting. Now, I know Jefferson was trying to play the taller body into the box, but You have to figure. And, of course, stuff like this unfortunately does happen. But Hernandez, I believe, is a very wise choice for the job, especially as one of the strikers for Jefferson, because he has a very low center of gravity, not thrown off by too many guys when he's one-on-one in coverage. Very aggressive player, and that's exactly who Jefferson needs going towards the box and even in the box to get the chance right now.
Getting rid of it there was Reethoff. He's headed toward the sideline for Kaiser. Kaiser, ball down low for Anderson. Nice ball. It'll win a Jaguar throw. Hernandez in tight space. Ball across, off the chest of Getters, and into the back of the net as the Jaguars have tied it. It's Leaf, Kaiser. And we're again level, this time at 2 goals apiece.
We get a look at the replay.
It was Hernandez who started it, Alex.
And I said Hernandez is the perfect guy to take over for the injured Akum down there because of how he plays. And that time it paid off as we get another look. And watch the double team. That's going to leave somebody open into the box.
And that subtle touch by Getters. The freshman right there for the Jaguars. Just putting it into a perfect position for the goal for Kaiser.
I got to tell you, we're having quite the soccer night in Bloomington here, Josh, aren't we? To the start, or to the end of our Tuesday, rather.
So we're level late into this one. We're nearing the midway point of the second half. Jefferson without a win or a tie this year. They're 0-6. Remember, no overtime this year in the high school game. See the response from the Hawks here. Eriksrud slides it ahead, but there to play it is Naigaka. Nice move, Naigaka. Another freshman for Jefferson. Another nice move around Ducklow. And he hits Eriksrud with it. Bad pass here. Let's see if Adkins can get there. He can. Aiden Adkins for Jefferson. Naigaka. Long run. Brilliantly played there by Arenas, although he hit his own man with that clearing attempt. Did Eriksrud, and for a Jaguar throw. See if they can execute another set piece, just about the same place they started on that previous goal. They'll try Hernandez again. Around Eriksrud. Hernandez ball. Couldn't quite squeeze it across, and it's going to end up being the first Jaguar corner of the game. And it's Jefferson with momentum right now.
I got to tell you, Hernandez has been working that near corner quite well as he did the last time, setting up a goal.
He is owning the senior defender, Max Eriksrud. So here's the Jaguar corner.
And Hernandez, not certainly the tallest guy in the pitch, Josh, but his low center of gravity allows him to be a little bit more shifty.
Toward the far post! And Kaiser got part of his head on it. But not the right part, unfortunately, for Jefferson. Still with possession. Kaiser. Hernandez. Edge of the 18 and then a foul on Hernandez. Chaska will try to start quickly and counterattack. Here's that first corner of the game. Watch Kaiser right there. Just inches away from a Jaguar lead as Youngman, a little bit of a mistake there. Couldn't get to that one even though he came out. Eriksrud with some space, sends it across, Alcindor. Not a good touch there, easily played by Grant. Up ahead, it's Anderson, and just too far, may have been offsides.
Looked to be offside, Josh.
And it was, so free kick it from that spot.
I got to tell you, what a game Jefferson's having offensively. Coming into tonight only having scored 3 goals on the season, they already have 2.
Doing it now without Akum. One One of their top offensive players with a right ankle injury. It's Chaska that looks a little rattled right here with just over 20 minutes left.
Chaska typically not used to being in this position, and that's why it seems that they are a little bit rattled as of now.
Lacker Fuss, calming presence for them. He overruns that one. Turns it over. Adkins. He'll settle it down. Kaiser for Anderson, right side. Should be a corner. Will it be? It will be for Jefferson, their second consecutive corner. The freshman once again, Getters, who assisted on that goal, coming to take it.
This is dangerous territory for a team like Chaska, with Chaska having been on the front foot against teams for most of the year. Being tied or being down and having to come back from that is not something they've had to face. They're not quite acclimated to it, and that's a danger for dominant teams like that.
Getters corner into the box, bouncing around. Cleared out of the 18. Jefferson needs to get back.
And you know, Josh, in tonight's matchup, we knew that Jefferson was going to be putting a whole lot of pressure on Chaska as they would be put to the test, but oh boy, has the script's been flipped. Chaska's getting put to the test right now, especially in the second half.
Absolutely.
And you know, this is one of the great things about high school or prep sports in general. You don't know what you're going to get. Just like a box of chocolates.
Kaiser. Or excuse me, not Kaiser. Adkins. Jaguar throw. We have an injured Hawk behind the play. That might be Garcia.
Well, that would be huge if he has to go out for the remainder of this game, and he is really grasping that right foot. Yeah, he tweaked it bad. If that is Garcia, hopefully it's just a bad cramp and not anything more serious, but geez.
It is a little warmer out today. Temperatures in the upper 70s. I think we've encrusted at 80 today. So that is possible.
Well, and right now for Chaska, it's unfortunate they have to deal with this, what appears to be a big injury, but they do get a little bit of a breather right now.
One of the leading scorers in the state, we believe right now, down for the Hawks, David Garcia with his 11 goals on the year. This is game number 7 for Chaska. That'd be impressive enough in hockey where you can maybe score 3 or 4 goals a game, and Chaska almost does that here in soccer, but that is serious output, and it is Garcia. Watch number 10 there.
Ooh.
That is not a cramp, Alex. That is a rolled right ankle, and just it looked like a non-contact injury there. There's nothing that I don't believe the Jaguar player had any factor into this at all. Ooh.
Oh my goodness! No, I can't look at that.
Of course, have stopped the clock again, and this is going to be in this compressed season. We're talking about the end of the regular season, just over 2 weeks from now for the Hawks. And in fact, is exactly 2 weeks from now for Chaska, just over 2 weeks for Jefferson. That is not a lot of time to recover if it is something more than just getting that twisted, and that appeared to be. I mean, that was some serious movement there for Garcia's right ankle. So unfortunate for the senior.
And you know what? He has had an amazing senior year, getting helped off the pitch, getting a standing ovation. Glad to see that he's doing a little bit better.
Boy. And you look at the difference between what's going on here and on the other side of Coombe. Jefferson will get a Coombe back, maybe not in this game, but at some point, certainly. But I don't know about that situation right there.
No.
Clearly, his night is done, and hopefully for Chaska, they can get him back soon. He is so important to what they want to do here in the next month.
They have to play Chanhassen at home coming up on Thursday, the 24th.
You can see the despair there. You don't have to see the face of Garcia to know that. Tough one for the senior as we play on.
Well, especially knowing what comes ahead in the next match, as I just mentioned. And
Hernandez nearly giving Jefferson the lead. Sorry, Alex.
No, it's all right. That's why I stopped mid-thought.
And Jefferson had enough momentum. Now you take away the leading scorer for Chaska offensively. And, you know, as a team, so many of these Hawks are seniors. They've been playing together for such a long time. They need to regroup here mentally as well.
Chris Andino, number 2 for Chaska, checks in right now. And Yel Garcia leaving such a big hole to fill offensively for the Chaska Hawks. But, you know, Garcia has had an amazing senior year. It's rare that you'll get double-digit goals in any sport for any season.
Here's Kaiser, edge of the 18, now into the 18, Kaiser. Still maneuvering Kaiser. He'll send it back. Grant not able to get around the D. Nice touch by Getters. Over to Adkins.
I got to tell you, the ball control offensively for Jefferson has been first class.
Grant.
Although not perfect, but it has been well needed, well deserved, by the way. They've worked really hard for it.
It's been steadily improving. Here's Naigaka. Coming back to support was Ducklow. Jaguar throw. Nice job here by Ducklow. Realizes the urgency of that situation. Oh, Hernandez, brilliant move. Hernandez cross, chips the keeper, and Jefferson got pushed in the back with no penalty.
Oh
my goodness. We need to take another look at that one. It certainly looked like a header possibility was there, and then the Jaguar player got pushed into the net. They'll play on instead of a penalty kick. Holy cow.
All right, let's get a look at that, by the way.
Here's the cross by Hernandez. Watch on the right part of your screen. Right there, Jefferson's player just gets pushed in the back. I don't know how you missed that one, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
On the other side, a save by Merrill, but what a chance by the Jaguars.
The official was right there.
Oh, my goodness. And clearly, you saw the Jaguar player get launched right into the Chaska goal.
I mean, it can't get any more obvious than that.
Goodness.
I mean, come on.
Meanwhile, another Hawk down.
This second half has just really hit the fan, hasn't it? I tell you. Well, thank goodness that supposed injury or shakeup was not too bad, it seems.
I think lost in all this is what a second half for Jonathan Hernandez. He is making all the plays for Jefferson as we watch the injury. It looks like it's on Ducklow, and that would make things go from bad to worse for Chaska. You've already got your 11 goal scorer on the year, Garcia, out. Ducklow's got 8 of them. That's almost your entire goal production. 19 out of the 20 goals Chaska scored this year are from 2 players who are now both on the sidelines. Ducklow looks to be moving around pretty nicely. I would imagine he would return fairly quickly.
Jefferson right now smelling a whole lot of blood in the water.
Eriksrud. Nice ball. Andino. Couldn't get a lot on that. Higher. This is a great touch. Oh, just a little too far. I thought that might stay in for Hernandez. And Ducklow at the next whistle coming right back in for Chaska, and they need him. So we're in the last 20 minutes at Bloomington Stadium alongside our crew and Alex Redding. Josh Powers with you. Jefferson has trailed twice in this game. Twice they've come back to tie it. In the first half, it was Joshua Anderson. In the second half, Leif Kaiser. Jefferson without a win this year, threatening to at least steal 1 point, if not multiple, from the top team in the Metro West. As Hernandez again. He has been hard for Chaska to defend. wins another Jaguar throw.
Thanks.
Anderson will try to work his magic again. Now surrounded by 3 Hawks. He is certainly drawing their attention now.
And that in turn has opened up space in the box for Jefferson, as we saw in their second goal, scored by Leif Kaiser, as you mentioned. Just get put right in there.
Combo play denied there by Zach Reethoff. Whacker Fuss to space. Tries to slip one through. Too far. Intended for that number 23. We never did get a beat on who that is from Chaska. He's been the guy coming in for Garcia here since he went out about 10 minutes ago, and we feel like that's going to be for the duration of this game. Header up for Anderson. Cut off by Camus as Youngman blasts it. Dangerous touch there by Ducklow, the co-captain. Jefferson rallies. And they'll play on. That may have been a whistle, but Jefferson maybe deserved a call here coming down the stretch after what happened about 5 minutes ago.
We'll see how Chaska's defense responds here. On the last Jefferson offensive drive, Chaska ended up just giving it to Youngman to try and blast it to the other side of the pitch. And Chaska knew that they needed to do that because their defense has been stretched so heavily in the second half by Jefferson's offense. And never did I think that I would be mentioning that in this game.
Yeah, it's been quite the reversal. If you watch the first 7 to 10 minutes of this game, it looked like it was going to be all Chaska. But Jefferson has turned things around, and arguably they should be the ones in the lead in this game.
And of course that, following a blown call, that statement.
It sure looked like it from our vantage point. But there could be more opportunities for the Jaguars. Anderson not quite able to run that one down.
Right, and for Jefferson, speaking of opportunities, they've got plenty of time. They have well over 15 minutes.
Anderson looking for options. Cross. Hernandez punched away by Youngman, but not very far, or not very well either, as it sat dangling, but no Jaguar was in the area. Jefferson has been the more dangerous team in this half.
Let's take another look at that last save.
Youngman certainly could have played this one better, and they were fortunate, were the Hawks.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, this is definitely the game of the year for Jefferson.
They're putting it all together and are just a play away from making things extremely interesting in the Metro West. Here's Wackerfuss. Not necessarily for Jefferson, but the teams that are currently in a battle for the top spot along with the Hawks.
And Bunnell definitely mentioning that is probably rooting right now for Jefferson, as they are.
Great intervention here, Higher for Hernandez. Back for Higher. Now he's a defender. Let's see what he does with it. Hernandez with space here. Top of the 18, Hernandez. Right-footed boot! Caught by Youngman. That was certainly a better strike from Hernandez than we saw that chance earlier he had in this half. Handball here on Jefferson.
As we get another look at this one here. Definitely very good contact by Hernandez, and even working off the double coverage too. To get that away, that's a whole lot of work he had to put in, and he's still got plenty more in that tank the way he's playing, I'll tell you. And it's no wonder why Chaska's so worried about him.
He has had a phenomenal second half. Helped set up that Jaguar goal. Several other dangerous chances for Jonathan Hernandez.
Nice pressure by Nyagaka on the near side moments ago for Jefferson.
Here's Wackerfuss, where they like to get him the ball.
It's great disruption on the play by Getters, number 4, moments ago.
Reithoff is there too for Jefferson. Chaska settles it. Here's a dangerous touch for Schindler. Schindler tripped up, and it should be outside the box.
Oh my goodness, that's
That
so
was
close
close.
for Jefferson. If that would happen inside the box, we were going to get a penalty kick.
A clear foul there, about as clear as the one Jefferson thought they should have gotten back on the other end. And I think correctly ruled there, just outside that edge. But now you set up Chaska. This is a glorious chance right here, because Jefferson's going to have to commit a big number to that wall, and not a lot of players elsewhere, as you can see.
And Brendan Nacum is back out on the soccer pitch. Great to see that he's doing much better, and he's really, really needed right now. If there is a moment in time in this game in which he's needed the most, it's this one right here.
So Wackerfuss, we think, will take the free kick, although Ducklow is also there. It'll be Ducklow. Oh, this is way too high. So unusual for such a great goal scorer for Ducklow. Jefferson dodges a huge bullet right there. Ducklow also one of the leading goal scorers in the state with 8 of them. Well, look who's back in for Chaska. It's Garcia.
My God.
I can't believe that. Number 10 is back in, and it looks to be moving fairly well. That is certainly a great development for the Hawks, because that looked ugly a few minutes ago.
So much for saying his night's done.
Grant trying to slip one through. He was only on the bench for about 10 minutes of game time. Long run. That was the right decision by Merrill to come out to play it.
And going back to mentioning about David Garcia and being on the bench for 10 minutes of this game, he's had a lot of quality rest too, so he's definitely a fresh set of batteries in the machine for Chaska. And if there's a time in which they need it, it's now, and as they look to get the offense going in transition, although Jefferson has the upper hand momentum-wise.
Schindler slips it through. Wackerfuss. Wackerfuss shot! And it misses wide. Another dangerous touch, though, for the Hawks, as I think they realize their urgency right now with just over 10 minutes left. It would be a disappointing decision if this ended 2-2 for the Hawks.
Yeah, and Chaska has not had success outside of the penalty box, shooting towards the net tonight, Josh. And with the way that Chaska has kicked the ball towards the net, Jefferson's fine with giving up those chances as long as they're contested, as they have been contesting each kicker for the Chaska Hawks.
Garcia sends one toward the corner for Arenas.
Look at the hustle.
Good speed there by the Jaguars, although Arenas gets possession. His cross, and a brilliant catch by Merrill. Perfectly played by the Jaguar keeper.
Let's get another look at that last save by Cormac Merrill.
Just timed it brilliantly.
We get another angle here. And Chaska again trying to set up Garcia.
Twisting ball. Eriksrud. Garcia, or excuse me, Hernandez getting a piece of that one. Chaska throw. They've certainly ratcheted up their offensive pressure. Of course, getting Garcia back certainly helps. That one sneaks through momentarily and then blasted away by Adkins.
Chasing after it is Brendan Nacum, putting some pressure on as that one's cleared high and out of play.
Just over 9 minutes left. Will there be a dramatic game winner in this one?
And I think Jefferson, after seeing Garcia come back into the game, I think they were a little bit thrown off by that. It's kind of given Chaska some momentum here.
Certainly he gets your attention, if nothing else. Kaiser takes advantage of a bad pass by Chaska. Kaiser slips it ahead for Akum. He's got Anderson over there as well. His cross deflected, and it'll be a Jaguar corner. So give Kaiser credit. He took advantage of a mistake at midfield by the Hawks, and it will lead to a great set piece opportunity with just over 8 minutes left.
Brendan Akum feeling just fine.
Yeah, great to see him back as well for Jefferson. We knew his injury didn't look as serious, but
yeah, he's still got the hustle, though, even after being shaken up. That's even more good news for Jefferson.
They could use him in this situation. Getter's corner. Grant tried to get there. He was kind of going the wrong way, and now look out. Chaska on the counter. Jefferson needs to hustle. It's Ducklow. Tried to slip it through for Garcia, or for Arenas. And Jefferson's fortunate that that was a little off target.
It was good pressure by Jonathan Hernandez on the back end of things on that last fast break for the Chaska Hawks. Hernandez has been all over this pitch tonight and has really made a name for himself here in the second half. And it started when Brandon Akum went out again with that, what appeared to be a right ankle shakeup.
Well, he's moved back to more of a midfield position, has Hernandez.
The question is, if you're Jefferson, do you rotate Hernandez to the forward spot?
Anderson, can he track this down on that ball from Akum? He cannot. But he forces Chaska to deposit it over the sideline. With 7 minutes left, Jefferson deep in Hawk territory once again.
And again, going back to finishing my earlier thought, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not Jefferson is going to shift Hernandez to that forward spot in place of Akum and move Akum back. Because Hernandez has definitely given a much-needed shot in the arm offensively at that forward spot. And again, setting up the second scoring opportunity and goal of the game for the Jefferson Jaguars. And I'm talking about a sure opportunity.
So if you're waiting for your soccer player after the game, please do so outside the south gate. Thank you.
Grant wins that situation against Ducklow. Hernandez. This has been his best area of the field. Tried to flick one through. Could not. Anderson can't keep it in, and again, the Jaguars need to get back. Wackerfuss up ahead. Ducklow with Garcia. Garcia, touch, Ducklow. Garcia in the 18, Garcia! No, it just was deflected wide as Merrill gets enough of it.
Well, there were a few Jefferson fans that leapt up from their spot on the bleachers as we get another look here. Oh.
Just hit the cleat of Merrill. Garcia got that a little higher. That was going in.
That may have been the save of the game, Josh, I got to tell you.
Well, that one wasn't close, or wasn't too far behind on the corner kick. That header had some steam behind it, but Merrill was positioned perfectly. Grant, nice touch. It's onside as Anderson punched away, but way out of the box is Youngman. Here's Anderson. Just could not quite get that swing off in time.
Another golden opportunity for Jefferson with the goaltender way out of position. Look out.
Waiting for that one to cross into the 18 was Merrill. He could have played it with his foot, of course, but saw that it was going to roll into the box. Another great back header by Grant. So just too far for Akum. Play really opening up here in the final 7-8 minutes. Grant trying for the steal.
Both teams really right now jockeying for that game-winning goal. And for Jefferson, boy, would they love to have it and get their first win of the season.
Kaiser, beautifully done. Adkins, able to track it down. Great move, Adkins. trying to get around Wally. Alcindor relieves the pressure.
Jefferson still able to keep it in the attacking zone here on this drive.
This has been an impressive performance by Jefferson, trying to pay it off with a go-ahead goal. Kaiser battling. Alcindor winning that battle. It'll be a Chaska throw as we head toward the 3-minute mark. Actually, they're going to change this to a Jaguar throw. Akum flicks it back, and cross was blocked by the Hawks. So they'll redo the throw.
Approaching 3 minutes now. Jefferson's got to really hustle if they want their third goal of the game. That would tie their total on the season, by the way. Again, before tonight's matchup, the goals that they have scored have been against these Chaska Hawks in a 4-2 loss.
And that was their season opening loss. Jefferson had scored just one goal in the, or actually that was the second game of the year for Jefferson, but they had scored just one goal since, but already 2 here tonight as we have another injured Hawk. Can't quite tell the number from our angle right now. As you see, the girls team is ready. They're coming up about 20 minutes after the conclusion of this one. If you're watching live, if you're watching on tape delay, go to BEC-TV.org. You can find out when the next replay of the Jefferson girls versus Chaska will be shown. And it is Kyler Camus, one of their top defenders.
The injury bug certainly hitting the Hawks hard tonight.
So they restart the clock. We're down to the final 3 minutes. Remember, no overtime. Adkins. Good slide tackle by Schindler, and now the Hawks. Very late, trying to get the game winner. It's Garcia. Working on Reethoff. Garcia gets around Reethoff. Ball across, and that kick misses badly wide. Not one of their better strikers for Chaska.
Hugo Perez.
Yep.
Nice kick, but again, it's the contact that has been so important in this game when each of these teams has had their chances.
You'd like to have that one back. Final 2 minutes now.
I got to tell you, this game has been entertaining, especially the second half, minus the injury bugs, of course, but my goodness.
Garcia slides it. Perez plays it across. Arenas.
Good pressure by Hernandez on that near side.
Arenas cross, and letting that one go wide. He had the post covered, did Merrill. So good move by not trying to touch it. It could have resulted in a Chaska corner. Merrill has certainly played well back there. He's made a couple of key saves that were not necessarily guaranteed. Higher, very calm and steady back there. Akum.
Nice footwork by Brendan Akum on that near touchline.
Back for Akum. Another nice piece of footwork by the big guy. Jefferson throw with under a minute. Perhaps they will have the final opportunity to win this. Higher,
nice
very
header.
aggressive. Up for Kaiser, but just out of his reach. Final half minute, and now the Hawks. It's Wackerfuss with Ducklow and Garcia in front. Wackerfuss toward the box. Higher relieves.
That's such a critical clear right there for Jefferson. And he's done well all night.
Is there enough time for one more opportunity? Wackerfuss. Garcia. 3 seconds, Garcia! Off target. And this game has ended in a 2-2 tie. Jefferson's best game of the year here tonight as the Jaguars steal a point from the Hawks, who with this result has really dealt Chaska a blow in terms of their chances to win the Metro West. The Hawks now 5-1-1 overall. Jefferson, their first non-loss. They moved to 0-6-1. Alex, outside of that first 6 or 7 minutes, it looked dicey for the Jaguars, but after that, they were as strong as Chaska in this game, and you could argue they were the better team in the last 30-plus minutes.
And yes, most certainly they were, as we're going to get ready and set for some highlights here, Josh. And, of course, that second half very busy for Jefferson, and not just offensively keeping the ball in the attacking zone for the majority of the time. And it's very weird saying that, especially against playing a team like the Chaska Hawks. And, you know, as you mentioned, Josh, this is a big, big blow to Chaska in the standings because Benilde St. Margaret is undefeated currently in Metro West play, with all games this season across the state of Minnesota being played only in conference due to COVID restriction. But, I mean, you can't ask for a better performance from your group or a better response to the previous weeks than what you've seen tonight. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the replays here as we have them queued up for you. The second half highlights.
Well, this was back in the first half. The Chaska looked like they were going to roll in this one. Garcia scored early. They got all sorts of chances, did the Hawks. Let maybe one or two of them that they could have put in the back of the net go awry. You saw a couple good saves by Merrill, including that kick save.
And Merrill would make plenty of great saves tonight, as he would have to. And, of course, these being the full game highlights. Correcting myself from earlier, but yeah, this game was really neck and neck. And, you know, this is the kind of game that you would expect Jefferson to play if they were Benilde St. Margaret, to be honest with you. Benilde handing Chaska its only loss of the year, and you can see how well contested Jefferson made that penalty box, especially when Chaska was on the offensive side of the ball. That really set the tone.
You saw the Joshua Anderson goal to make it 1-1. As we move to the second half, Garcia tipping that one in to make it 2-1, but the Jaguars would battle back. Hernandez, not the best touch there, but he had such a strong second half. Akum nearly scoring. And now watch Hernandez off the chest of Getters, and then Leif Kaiser on the back end redirects it in, and we were tied once again at 2 apiece.
Yeah, and Jonathan Hernandez, after coming in, following the Akum injury next to that net for Chaska,
and here's
really set the tone.
There's where Jefferson really, I think, should have had a penalty kick to win that game, as one of the Jaguars shoved right in the back as they were going up for a clear header with no one in front of them. Chaska dodging a major bullet. Another dangerous situation. Jefferson.
That right there, that
was their best chance of the half. And then watch Garcia again as he was vying for the hat trick. A final great save by Merrill as this one ends in a 2-2 tie. Final thoughts from you, Alex.
I mean, if you're Jefferson, you couldn't have played this any better, especially from the offensive side of the ball. Jonathan Hernandez, give him some more time at that forward position. That's the only thing I got to say. Brendan Akum has been really good for them this year, but Jonathan Hernandez, when you put him in that attacking role, he makes other teams pay. And it was his shiftiness, his low center of gravity, that attacking mindset that really helped Jefferson come back for the second time and tie the game and keep the ball and the pressure in the offensive zone. Chaska tonight, you know, it's often said with teams that have been so much ahead throughout the season that they sometimes have a little bit of a lack of comeback mentality because they're not in that position for most of the year. So they kind of have to find some genes that aren't in them that year. So it takes them a little while to try and regain control, a little bit more than they typically would find in any situation throughout a game. So Chaska definitely getting a fair weather test from the Jaguars tonight. Excellently played, though, by Chaska, too. They had some really, really great plays from David Garcia, scoring 2 goals, the only goals in the game for the Chaska Hawks. And, you know, I got to say, he's had quite the senior year.
Well, certainly the best result for Jefferson this year, their first non-loss. They're 0-6-1, and a tough one for the Chaska Hawks to take here as they fall to 5 1-1 on the year. 2-2 tie. If you're watching live, stick around. In about 20 minutes, we'll have the girls' game. Jefferson and Chaska. If you're watching the tape-delayed version, you can go to BEC-TV.org and find out when that girls' game will be shown next. A good first start to the doubleheader. Hopefully we'll have some more dramatics in our back half
and that
of the doubleheader.
Defense too, Josh. That Jefferson girls defense about to throw it down in prime time. I can't wait for it.
2-2, Jefferson and Chaska. For our entire crew, this is Josh Powers. For Alex Redding as well. Saying so long for now. Again, girls game coming up next if you're watching live on BEC TV.